Welcome back to Brotherly Beliefs, Faith, Family, and Fun. I'm Malik.
And I'm Tristan. Join us for candid conversation about life tapestry, from the faith that binds us to the family that shapes us, to the pure fun woven at every moment. So grab a cup of coffee, settle in, and let's dive into the heart of our stories in an incredible episode of Brotherly Beliefs.
All right, man. So you know what's been on my mind recently?
Me.
Other than you. Yeah. It's like respect, because respect falls into so many different categories. Like, we live like basically determining what our next decision, depending on how we talk to somebody, will be based on respect. So I was curious of what all the Bible had to say about respect. You know, the one thing that I found? The Bible says respect your parents.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see too many other things about respect in the Bible.
Yeah.
That's the main thing that it says. So what is your thoughts on that?
The principle of respecting your parents, I think, I actually have been thinking about this, and we haven't even talked about this before. It sets the precedent of respect for God. Because the Bible also says fear your parent. Like, you should fear your parents. You should have fear of your consequences by your parents, right? In the same aspects as you should fear God. So the respect you have for your parents is the foundation for the respect you have of God.
Mm-hmm. That's nice. That's nice.
What are your thoughts?
I don't know. It's crazy. Like, I even searched up how to like go about others disrespecting you, you know, and I couldn't find anything. All it says is respect your parents. And of course, we know the golden rule is, you know, if someone wrongs you, offer them your jacket, or somebody robs you, offer them your jacket. If somebody does you wrong, like pray for them, like love them, you know, that sort of thing. Like, do better for them than what they did for you. But like, how do you live by that? You know what I mean? It's like, because your flesh obviously wants to yearn for that respect that you feel you deserved, right?
I feel as if, how you say this? So it goes into the same aspect of everything else, right? You have a natural urge of temptation. How do you fight temptation? Right? So how do you fight this urge of revenge, drive to have respect? Like, it's a good question, because like you're going against what your natural like worldly like thoughts are.
You're right. And it's like, you, just like how you asked me, like, how do you fight off temptation, and how do you fight off lust? How do you fight off greed? You know what I mean? Just different things like that. And the answer should be like by focusing on God, you know what I mean? Like reading more into your Bible and things like that. And it's hard to remind yourself that. And the goal is ultimately to be more like Jesus, as he is our role model, and to just be right by Jesus and by God, you know what I mean? So what are some things that you like could change in your everyday life to like start abiding by that? Like, as far as like not falling into your flesh for respect, you know what I mean? Based on others' decisions.
I see it as ultimately it doesn't matter, right? I was at work and I was just talking to one of the kids and I just told him, like, he has issues with getting mad and just violence is his answer, right? Like, severe violence. But what does it change? Does it change anything? Does physically battering someone change whatever disrespect happened, whatever like hurt you felt, whatever thing they said that bothered you? Does it change the fact that it bothered you? No. Right? So if my first reaction is to hit, punch, whatever you want to say, every time they disrespect me, what am I gaining from it? In the same aspect, what am I gaining for chasing that revenge? It takes more energy to be rude and hateful to someone than it does to just coexist and to just show respect and show love.
Yeah, like let it go and give it to God.
Yeah, because it takes so much more energy to chase that revenge, right? So if I'm constantly worrying how I'm going to get back at someone, then what am I missing out on?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody does you wrong. Say, I do you wrong, right? And you focus on plotting some type of revenge against me. What moments are you missing? Mm-hmm. Right? You're going to be filming something and you're going to be distracted worrying about what I got going on, or you're going to be with your family, you're going to see something and then you're worried about what I got going on, right? It's the same thing with envy, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're sitting here worrying about what everybody else has, you're not focused on what you do have.
Mm-hmm.
You're not grateful for what you do have. And so in the same aspect, chasing that envy is the same way as chasing revenge. You're worried about something that ultimately doesn't matter. It doesn't. Like, whatever they said, whatever they do, like, it doesn't matter. Because at the end of the day, does it change who you are? No. Does it change who they are? No. Like, you think if I'm just a disrespectful person and I say something disrespectful to you, you put your hands on me, you think it's going to change the way I think about the world, how I see the world? No, it's not, right? So in that moment, and don't get me wrong, I'm not perfect either. I don't think any of us are.
Yeah.
And I think there's a level of disrespect where you have to step up and put your foot down and say something, right? But living with like hatred or like anger towards somebody is just wasting your own time, right? It's one-sided beef, right? I don't have any issues with anybody. Anybody has an issue with me, it's one-sided. I'm sorry. And then you look dumb. Like, you just, like, from the outside looking in, if someone came to you talking shit about me, right? And you know for a fact I have no issue with them. They just look dumb. Like, you're just like, why? Like, he said this. No, he didn't. Like, he didn't talk about you. He's not worried about you.
It's like, you know what Tristan's doing right now? I can tell you it's not worrying about you.
Yeah, like, and so
it's the last thing on his mind.
Because I have so much more important things to worry about, right?
Yeah.
I have a family, I have a wife. Like, what am I losing? What am I losing in the moment? Yeah. Memories, like experience. If I can't just sit here and think about, like, here you go. We worked on that set, right?
Mm.
If I was just constantly worrying about what somebody else was doing, what somebody else did to me, and how I'm going to get back at them, I wouldn't have taken in any of the information that was right in front of me. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't have been able to just sit and just
soak up the moment.
Exactly, and just focus, because I did. I spent that time just sitting there, just watching the, like, creative mind just work, right? Watch how he took how Troy took his thoughts and just like executed them. That's a good word. Mm-hmm. And so if I would have been sitting here worried about everything else, then I wouldn't have been able to take in that moment and absorb the information around me, not just what I was doing. I wouldn't have been able to absorb it. I've been worried about everything else, right? Or my mind would have been elsewhere. So, with all that being said, why take away from your own life for people who don't, like, know how to treat you, right? So, and if you're sitting around waiting for an apology, nobody owes you one.
Yeah.
Like, it's the right thing to do, but nobody owes you an apology. So you're sitting around waiting for something that is not owed to you. They're not in debt to you. Like, so you're worried about an apology, and they don't think anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
You see the type of person they are. You see their character.
Yeah.
So you're waiting for an apology from somebody who did the wrong and didn't care about it in the first place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was like, it doesn't even make sense at that point.
You're waiting for an apology that if they wanted to apologize, they already would have.
Yeah. Or if they're even, yeah, I'll just leave it at that, because obviously people make mistakes. You know, they'll come back and apologize if they're a good person.
Yeah. Like, that's the thing.
Yeah. But if they were a bad enough person to do it to begin with, wouldn't be surprised if you never
If they
get
did it
one.
with ill intention, like, people make mistakes, people mess up.
Yeah.
That's the difference
There's a
between doing
difference.
something with ill intention or malicious intent than just doing something and you didn't think it all the way through.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so when someone has malicious intent or doing it, like, for the wrong reasons, they're not thinking about the apology. They weren't thinking about the apology when it happened. They knew
Right.
what was going to happen and where they would be when people make honest mistakes. They apologize for them. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
but what do you think? What how do you handle the lack of? How do you want to in the future if you feel like you've not handled it the right way in the past?
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like it's me getting to the point of, like, doing it in a godly way, like, as far as looking past it or not even worrying about it, you know what I mean? So I feel like if I'm ever disrespected, then just like you said, like, don't even worry about it, you know what I mean? Just continue on with your life, and that's what I'll do. So whether that's that person not being in my life anymore, or whether that's just a random stranger that obviously would never be in my life anymore. So just like that, yeah, it wouldn't be important, you know what I mean? So just continue on what I was doing, and the more time I waste on that is more time wasted on what I could have been doing,
Exactly.
like bettering myself. What are 3 things that you feel like is top disrespectful that you could work on bettering yourself on?
Like, things I do that are disrespectful, or things that bother me?
Both.
Mm.
You can start with things that bother you.
Things that bother me. Ooh. Just because you get loud doesn't mean you're right. Right?
Yeah.
I'm capable of having a conversation, and just like if we're having a conversation and you get louder because you think you're right, it's just unnecessary. Like, it doesn't prove your point. It doesn't change whether or not you're right or wrong. But getting louder doesn't make you right. In like true, like, real conversations that can easily flip to a heated conversation, cussing is unnecessary. Right? If we're all laughing, joking, playing around, people, like, I cuss, like, I won't say I won't, but when you're having a true, like, conversation or discussion or debate, like, the cussing is unnecessary. It brings hostility in when hostility doesn't need to be there. One more. The way you speak to my wife. Yeah, and I wouldn't even, but you said that I need to work on. That will never change, right? That's one thing that will never, I will never change, because at the end of the day, God tells me to protect my wife, and you disrespecting my wife is like, I'm gonna step in either way. Not addressing me, right? When people walk in, or when people walk into my house and don't address me, or walk into an event and see me and don't address me, it's disrespecting, and it bothers me to my core. It really shouldn't. Ultimately, who cares? But it's the principle behind it for me. And so, yeah. What about you?
I definitely hear that. And it's like, for me, it's like not even just protecting your wife, it's protecting your household. You know what I mean? So that goes from my wife or my kids, and that's not going to change for me either. And I'm not perfect. So that's my intentions on how that's going to stay. I'll never ever allow disrespect from my wife or my kids, period. Doesn't matter who it is. But for other things that bother me,
can I extend on that?
Yeah,
I'd say my village.
Yeah,
right? Because 100%, ultimately, but there's a difference, right? So let me break that down, right? Anybody outside my village disrespects my village, right? So not just my family, but the people who I talk to every day, who help me on a daily basis, who, we understand it takes a village, so we all help each other type of thing. Mm-hmm. So if someone came out and disrespected you, I'd have a problem with it. Whether you walk away or not, I'm going to be like, yo, you don't need to speak to him like that. Right? But in the same aspect, my family comes first. So if you disrespected my wife, then I have to address you. It's no matter what, I have to be on my wife's side.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say my village. If you disrespect my village, that's one thing that will never change. My sister, it's one thing that is, it's the principle of it. You first of all, you use Savannah as an example. Savannah is so kind and kind-hearted. She doesn't, she's not disrespectful to anybody intentionally. And so for you to just blatantly disrespect her is you know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
But as you were saying.
Yeah. And hopefully she watches this back, because that was nice. But, what's it called? Yeah, other things that bother me is just, being rude and, intentionally or not. And that, my flesh is just nah, you're not going to be rude to me. And, obviously, I want to stand on that, you know what I mean? Yo, you just were rude to me just now. Let's talk about that. And the immature side of me doesn't come at it at hey, you just said that kind of hurt my feelings, you know what I mean? I'm instantly on the defense, you know what I mean? I get aggressive and things like that, when I could just simply just mention it, hey, that really bothered me, and that could solve a problem right then and there. Oh, I didn't think of it, or maybe the other person did mean it that way, and then but at the same time, it's just whether they meant it or not, it's wasting your time, you know what I mean? So just being rude is a big one for me, and I think inconsideracy, I guess, is that how you would say it? Being inconsiderate.
Yeah, being inconsiderate.
Yeah, is one for me too, because that can fall into so many different categories, someone's situation, someone's time, someone's money, you know what I mean? And it's just always think of somebody, you know what I mean? What if you were in their shoes, you know what I mean? So that's something that I can feel is like disrespectful. Like, dude, you know where my situation is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Stuff like that. And yeah, that's really it. And then of course my family, my village. You know what I mean? So yeah. But as far as things that that I could do better on, I guess I just said one of them. It's like just stop being so aggressive. You know what I mean? Stop jumping to the defense because my feelings got hurt. You know, and I shut down. I shut down too. I guess it's not really.
It's called stonewalling.
Yeah,
And it is disrespectful.
It's disrespectful.
100%, right? So you have the 4 horsemen, right? It's what it's called.
Yeah.
Stonewalling. The paper's in the car. You continue and I'll get it pulled up.
But yeah, I just like shut down when I feel like my feelings are like got hurt or something like that, and then I just want to isolate myself at that point. But what's another thing I could work on?
So you have criticism, defensiveness, contempt, and stonewalling. They're all like styles of like conflict, like how you communicate in conflict, right? So you can either be defensive, you can criticize, you can show contempt, and stonewalling. But I feel like stonewalling is the worst of all of them. Like in my opinion, it bothers me the most. Mm-hmm. Right? I'd rather be criticized and I'd rather you be defensive. At least we may not be going in the right way at least, but at least we're communicating in some way. You can funnel that conversation, right? Mm-hmm. You can take that conversation somewhere. But when you're just not saying anything, you're not getting anywhere. Mm-hmm. And so one thing that bothers me is being ignored. Like blatantly ignored or just okay, all right, okay. Bothers me to my core. Like when I'm genuinely having a conversation and I'm just met with okay or nothing at all, like blatantly ignoring me bothers me.
Yeah, I hear that. And I feel like I know, like, I'm self-aware that I do. I don't really do I probably do. I probably do and don't even realize it. But I'm self-aware that I do things like that, and I'll try and fix it in the moment. But then the second that I feel like I'm disrespected again, I just shut it off. Like, you know what I mean? I'm like, it's more of a a self-growth feeling for me. It's like I'm trying to step out of my shell and do better, but you're still disrespecting me and things like that, you know? So it's like, why do I even try if this is how it's going to end, you know? And there's times where I definitely voice that, like when I like lift up that wall and then I get disrespected and I'm like, I literally am trying like right now to fix what is wrong, like what I do wrong. And I'm met with this, you know what I mean? And then, you know, if it doesn't get fixed, then I shut back down, you know what I mean? I feel like for me, it's just like, why even bother if this is how it's going to end up, you know?
Are you speaking about friendships or relationship?
Either or.
Okay. So, right. Try a different approach, right? This conversation feels very hostile right now. This conversation, I don't feel safe in this conversation, this talk right now. Let's come back to it, right? But the moment that you say, let's come back to it, you have to initiate the conversation, right? Mm-hmm. Because the whole stonewalling thing is a lot of people who stonewall don't bring that conversation back up, right? We have this argument, but if you say, let's come back to this, then it has to be dropped, right? You have to let it go for now, right? You take your 5, 10, we say 15 minutes, right? We have that 15-minute rule. 15-minute rule, you step away, right? You come back and you say, hey, so listen, I apologize for walking away. Thank you for respecting my time. I felt really like attacked in that moment. I felt like it was starting to get disrespectful. But don't put the blame on, like, so we have a pamphlet about how to, like, resolve conflict. You're not putting the blame on somebody, right? Like, you're not going to blame somebody for being them, right? So you say, I felt this way. You were being you, and it made me, like you were being you, and you are you, and I love you for being you, but in that moment I felt like I had to be defensive, or I felt disrespected, and I think this approach would work better. Give a solution. Like, it's easy to say, if you came at me and you didn't meet me with so much hostility, you came to me concerned, right? Hey, taking out the trash, I don't know. We'll use Caitlin as an example. Caitlin's 9 months pregnant. I'm 9 months pregnant, and it takes a lot for my body to take the trash out to the dumpster. I would really appreciate it if you would just do it when I asked, or even if I didn't have to ask, I would really prefer that. Is there any way we can do that? Instead of Caitlin coming to me with the trash needs taken out, take it out. Because now nobody likes being told what to do, right? Nobody in the world, right? It's people like the feeling of making their own choices. So if I told you, you're going to be at the coffee shop at 8 a.m. No, like, you don't tell me what to do. But if I came to you and I was like, hey man, I want to go to the coffee shop at 8 o'clock. Do you think you could make it? Which one sounds like more inviting? Which one, like, you know what I mean? And so there's a level of, like, communicating that, like, when you just tell me what to do, it makes me feel really disrespected. Like I don't have a say in my own actions. Could we try from now on, like, offering the idea in a softer way? Like, asking me to do something rather than telling me. I'd really prefer that. It'd really make me feel safer in our marriage. But when you come with vulnerability, right, it's a two-way street. I come with vulnerability, you have to be open to it. The other person has to be open to it. So Caitlin could meet me with, no, I'm not going to do that. But then now I'm not heard, and now I'm not seen. And then my trauma responses come out. You know what I mean? Like, then that's when I'm going to shut down. It's because the moment that I said, like, this is how we can fix this, and you don't do that, I met you in the middle. You said you don't want me shutting down anymore. I found a way for me to come out of my shell. It may not be right there in the moment, but you have to give me some. You have to have some give. So we can take 15 minutes and come back to it. And that's my give. Where's your give? Okay, you're not going to come at me in the same manner anymore. You're going to come at me with a softer approach.
Yeah. And I'm definitely going to, just like I did, I don't know if I told you, but I tried the 15-minute method, and it worked. It helped out a lot. And that, like we talked about this whole time, it saved a lot more time from being angry about small things or just being angry in general. You know what I mean? You got the problem resolved quicker that way. So we've been trying to do that more often, and I'm definitely going to take that advice too and put that into, like, how our disagreements go, because it's not fights. It's not like it may be arguments, but it's more than just a disagreement on something that happened. So we're definitely gonna do that from now on.
That's the same thing for me and Caitlin. Me and Caitlin get in arguments, but it's never like we get into fights when one of us doesn't feel heard. That's what. Would you agree to that?
Yeah, it's normally over something really petty here.
Yeah, and it's over the dumbest thing. Like when we get into actual fights, and we're not like boxing each other. We're not like putting our dukes up, but it's emotional fight, like verbal fights, like attacking each other, saying hurtful things on purpose, right? And it happens to everyone. Like it's not like a perfect thing, right? Marriage isn't a perfect thing. Marriage is something you constantly work on.
People are crazy if they think marriage is perfect.
It's hurt. It's hurt. It is hurt. Sometimes it does hurt, but it's hard. Is what I was gonna say. It's hard. It
hurt.
It hurt, right?
It do be hurting sometimes.
It do. It does. But no. So like you have to find this balance of communication. You do, and it's so important. And this goes into respect. If you respect your partner, because the truth is, right? We can use a really good example, and Caitlin, you can stop me. You can stop me if you don't want me to talk about this. We can use a prime example, right? Caitlin has an issue with feeling controlled, right? Not by anything I'm doing. Like, it's not like we can come back to the conversations where she feels controlled, and it's not like what I'm asking her to do. It's how I'm saying it, right? Because Caitlin has been in relationships where she was controlled and where she was told what she can and can't do. Like, and so me and Caitlin had a conversation in therapy, and I'm like, I love you. I love who you are. I'm not telling you what you can and can't do. I'm telling you, like, these are not good options. These are not good choices. These are not the best for us together. Like, our relationship, our marriage. My role as a man is to guide us into the right direction, right? And we have to find like something that works for us. We have to find where we're gonna go and what we're gonna do and how we're gonna get there. And I have a million different ways we can do it, but we have to be willing to start somewhere and try one. We have to try one, right? If I said I want to move to Florida in 5 years. Sorry, that was just the first thing that came to my head. But how do we get to that situation, right? Because that's an actual situation for us, right? We've talked to you guys. You guys want to move to Florida. We want to go with you, right? But how do we get there, right? Where do we want to be when we go? Okay, we want 2 cars. We want at least 1 car paid off. We want at least this X amount of money in the account, in a savings account, ready to go. Like, these are all things we want, but how do we get there? Okay, we have 100 different ways to get there. What is the best option? Okay, we're going to try one at a time and see which one works best. If this one doesn't work, we're going to try the next one. And so you have to trust my ability to make logical decisions. You have to. And guess what? When it's time to make those emotional decisions, I'll respect what you say. 100%. Right? And that's something I'm working on, right? And I just talked about this with one of the kids, or in a group session with some kids, right? I'm working on my ability to be more emotionally understanding. I'm a very logical thinker. I think about everything logically. 100%. It's a military in me. Take out the emotion and think about everything logically. In marriage, you can't do that. You can't just think about everything logically. There's emotion that goes into it. There's so much more that goes into Caitlin's thought process than just logic. Very little logic goes into Caitlin's thought process. And that's just the truth. And she'll agree with you. She's very emotional. Am I wrong? See, I'm telling you. She's very emotionally driven. And so when I come at her with logic, she's like, well, I feel. Okay, but when you're executing a plan, your feelings have to go here. Logic has to be up here. We can address your emotions, but we have to have a logical plan first. Like, logic has to play the biggest role, because logistically we have to get there. Emotionally, we can deal with that later. We'll put you in therapy. No, I'm just kidding. But talk to Rhonda. But no, like, and so when you're finding this middle ground of how to how to get through conflict, like, and I can give you, we have two of those pamphlets, and I can give one to you, and you can like sit down. You guys can sit down and read it together.
Yeah, sure.
It's really helpful, like, because it's the pamphlet is reconnecting after conflict. It's all about resolve and reconnect, isn't it?
Yeah,
Resolve and reconnect.
the right way.
Yeah, resolve and reconnect the healthy way, right? You have something, and we don't have to talk about what it is or where it comes from. If you know, you know. If you don't, then think about this for the next week, okay? You have something in your past, in your childhood, in the situations you've been, that has taught you to stonewall, that has taught you not to voice how you feel, or like you don't have a say in how this conversation goes. So it's not the truth. That's not real. That's the augmentation of somebody's false reality. Because the truth is, you do. You have the right to feel how you feel. You have the right to have those feelings validated, right? That's what's important. It's because when you feel this way and you have everybody around, or you have people around you telling you you shouldn't feel that way, you will never be able to come to terms to how you really feel. And this is the issue with so many men. Like there's this level of judgment, I don't know, against men. Like when people, when men have feelings, and it's the craziest thing, because feelings are the most natural thing you could possibly have. So when, I guarantee you, from day one, my kids will see me happy, will see me sad, will see me laughing, crying, everything in between, because it's so important for them to learn that they have to be able to see how I regulate my emotions and learn from that, right? Bottling everything up is not it's not a good thing. So you're teaching these young boys to do this, and then they become men and they're doing the same thing, right? 100%. As a man, I need to be able to put my feelings aside and get done what needs to be done. But at the same time, I have to take time to feel how I feel, right? Because my feelings are valid. When I feel disrespected, it is a valid feeling, right? 100%. I can feel disrespected, but I also have to know that it doesn't matter. It doesn't, because the revenge doesn't matter. What matters is I felt disrespected, and I'm going to self-soothe, if you would say, right? I have to find out how to regulate that emotion. Man, this man disrespected me. You know what? Charge it to the game and keep moving. Wow. He said my nose is big. Well, he wasn't lying. But does that change what I'm doing or where I want to go? No. Doesn't matter. Here's a good one. I had a boy who got called a coward. Right? We're at a bar or a club, whatever it was. He gets called a coward. Switch of a light. He's ready to fight. Why? Here you go. I get called a coward. I can have the same reaction. But am I a coward? No. Probably one of the bravest people in the world. One of them. I would 100% say. I would 100% say that I would confidently run into a burning building to save people. In what I'm dressed in now. I know myself well enough to know I would do it. And I wouldn't even do it for people. I'd do it for a dog. I like genuinely like it like but that person doesn't know me. That person doesn't know what I would be willing to do for innocent people and innocent things. Like, so why allow what somebody's augmented reality of you define who you are? Like, oh, you're soft. Okay, I'll be soft to you. I gotta show you I'm tough? No. What does it do? Now, somebody puts their hands on you, do what you have to do to defend yourself. Like, and so, like, men have to learn that you can validate how you feel without showing the opposite. I felt disrespected, but I don't have to show them I'm not a coward. I can just be disrespected, and I can deal with that within myself and move on.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, I 100% agree with everything you said. And it's really that maturity and then that faith that's really going to build you up to get to that point. And like we've said, the whole episode is like, it's not worth it. You know what I mean? It's just a waste of your own energy to give into someone who's being like that. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Here's my question, right? You know, this is a great way to put it. Would you be willing to hand your ticket to someone over being called a coward or like over being disrespected, right? Hand that ticket over to eternal life.
Right. Yeah.
Right? Would you hand that over? Right? Because the only ticket to heaven, it's not just like you have to, like, in your heart, you have to live like Jesus, right? You have to work to become one with the Word of God. So if you just believe Jesus died for your sins and you just still live this crappy life with no second thought about anything that you're doing, you're not, like, that's not how to get in.
Right. That's just the start.
And so are you willing to just hand over this ticket because someone disrespected you?
Right.
Something to think about. And with that being said,
this has been a great episode of Brotherly Beliefs.
Check us out on TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all of the above. Check out some videography, okay? Tap into Malik, man. He's kind of lonely. He needs some of you guys to be his friends, okay? No.
Yeah, I need more clients. Come here. Let me treat you right.
But yeah, this has been an incredible episode, and we just want to thank all of you guys for tuning in. Like, subscribe, turn that notification bell on, and
let us know what you guys would like to hear next.
Of course. And any questions, leave them in the comment section.
Yeah.
Until next time.
See you guys later.